Hello and welcome to Spooning With Mark Wogan. We are here in Homeslice Pizza in the City of London, a restaurant that I have a vague connection to, but we won't dwell on that because I have a very, very special guest with me and they will be trying the food that they think they love and the food that they think they hate. And of course, as ever, I will be gently and as part of a trust exercise, blindfolding them. But who is my very special guest today? Well, they first came to our attention looking for love. They then went on to do great things within the NHS, and now they are probably one of our country's leading mental health advocates. And they've got a new book out, and they're here to talk about it. Will you please welcome to Spooning with Mark Wogan, Dr. Alex?
Thank you for having me. Very well, thank you. I'm very excited.
Am I still allowed to call you Dr. Alex?
You can, but Alex is absolutely fine.
Okay.
It's like a DJ name almost, right? Except that I do actually have the qualifications of that.
Right. You are here to talk about this book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm.
And I think it is brilliant that you are asking that question because us lot who will work on this were talking about this, that question, am I normal? Because your new book, Dr. Alex George, Am I Normal? Understanding Your Place in a Complex World. I mean, there's part of me is jealous of you.
Mm.
Okay.
Why?
Because you've discovered what it took me 50 years to work out. And I'm very happy for you that you've done it while there's still a 3 in your age at the front. No, yeah. And it's just a great book because these are the kind of questions we should be asking ourselves now. Because I don't know about you, but I don't know what normal is.
Yeah.
Have you discovered what normal is in this process?
Well, I think the spoiler is I've realised I'm not normal. So it probably saves a little bit, but I think
I just say great.
I know, thank you. I think it's the process of it that's been very important, and I think it's been very topical given you've got politicians saying we're overdiagnosing ADHD. Factually, we know that's not true. We've got people kind of talking, I guess, more about neurodivergence, but perhaps not understanding it as well as we should. And, you know, basically the crux of why I wrote this book is because I basically was sat down 4 years ago-ish with a psychiatrist saying, like, am I normal? What's going on? And the run up to this was, you know, some funny parts of my life, but also some pretty difficult times as well. But at that moment I was sat there, I was struggling with alcohol, grief, loads of car crashes in my life, not understanding why I couldn't kind of emotionally regulate, why I had so much friction in my life in ways that other people didn't. You know, and I think at that moment I needed help. And, you know, from that discovery of being like, oh, actually I have ADHD, it's led to a complete change in my life. It saved my life, really. You know, I went from it being in a place of real danger to rebuilding my life in a way that made sense for someone who's neurodivergent. And I think that's really important because it doesn't matter what you label it or what you call it. It's understanding how our brains, our neurotype is different to those of neurotypical, and realizing there are parts of modern life and life that work against us, and some things we need to work with to be able to live a life that is happy, because there's a lot of people who are neurodivergent who aren't happy.
But do you find the more you look at types, you realize, you know, what was the term?
Neurotype. Yeah.
Neurotypical.
Yeah, neurotypical,
right?
yeah.
Right? I've yet to meet anyone who I think would fall under that.
It's interesting.
Everyone's a,
because the question
everyone's a weirdo.
The question, yeah, some more than others. But there's this idea of normality. I think what's really important, and people go, oh, what does it matter? No one's normal. Now, whether you've got an average interest in Pokemon cards or you love reality television more than the average person, who cares? Does that matter in terms of normality? No, it doesn't matter. Normality matters in the presence of friction. So if you are more sensitive than someone to the point where you can't apply for jobs, you can't be in relationships, you won't go and hang out with your friends, you sit inside all day, all of a sudden that's a problematic area of rejection sensitivity, which is where rejection sensitivity dysphoria is very common in ADHD. If you're someone who is impulsive, a little bit impulsive is fine. But if you're so impulsive that you buy stupid things, you get into gambling issues, you end up on drugs and alcohol, and you really struggle, because of impulsivity, those things matter. And I think that's
apart from the gambling, you are talking about me. But anyway,
it is. I think, and I've really, because the whole point of this book is I try to use the questions psychiatrists ask me, not all of them, but use some of those to dig into aspects of my life and ask myself how much is me and how much is the world. Because there are actually parts of the world that are, and you'll know this, insane. For example, you know, our culture with automatic.
The White House.
Place to start. There's so much stuff that we think is normal that is not, and it makes us sick. The way we treat grief, for example, we're all going to die. Spoiler alert. Sorry, I'm supposed to be fun and entertainment show. We're all going to die, but we all live as if we can. We all live as if we can live forever.
Yeah.
And we also, when people die, we pretend that it hasn't happened, try and get over it. I mean, you know, I talk about the loss of my brother in the book. When he died, loads of flowers. My house is full of flowers and gifts of like, not gifts, what's the word? Condolences at that time. Funeral happens, you get a few texts. A few weeks later, no conversation.
3 weeks.
3 weeks is your limit.
Done.
And that's, it's true, actually, it's actually 3 weeks. So within 2 weeks, the funeral's done, week more, done. Everyone expects you then, there gives an unwritten rule of 3 months, I think, that people expect you to get over the death and then get on with your life. What happens? Everyone suffers. Because you know what? This is the thing that we know, but we don't really know in a subconscious level. You're never going to get over the death of your mother. You're never going to get over the death of your friend. You're never going to get over the death of your brother.
You're not supposed to.
No. But society tells you should. No. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. Even now we've got the diagnostic criteria. If you grieve too long, you're sick.
I mean, we're coming up to a significant milestone in my life, which is it's 10 years since my father died. And I'm getting a lot of questions around how we're going to celebrate this, what are we going to do, how are we going to note him, you know, because he was a significant individual, but he was also my father.
Yeah.
And as a result, to your point, for the first year after he died, I didn't grieve him. I was busy kind of putting to bed, in a sense, Terry Wogan, not my dad. And then afterwards, it was when I woke up the morning, a year later after he died, and there was nothing in the newspapers about it. And I was like, oh, and then it hit me.
Then it hits you.
Yeah.
And 10 years later,
I just
still miss him?
But it's an interesting thing. So particularly with parents, are both your parents still with us? So both of mine have now gone. And there is a certain, when you have, oh, look, hold on. Whilst we're talking about this, let us comfort ourselves with this fine example of pizzadom. Because I know we're on a heavy subject, but it is a food podcast after all.
Some comfort food.
Antonio, you are a marvel.
Like you say. Oh my goodness.
Thank you, baby.
And this is my favourite, pepperoni.
Yeah. Well, we call it salami here because it is a salami.
Okay, salami.
So this is a proper Venturcina salami that we import from centre of Italy. Fior from Naples, San Marzano tomatoes, a classic, and obviously it being home. Have you ever had a home slice before?
I don't think I have. No, I haven't.
Oh my goodness!
I know.
We're about to change your life.
And the good thing is don't live too far, so obviously.
Oh, good.
This looks amazing.
So here we go.
I love pizza.
Well, that's what I liked. And reading your questionnaire and the notes about you. We're very similar people.
Are we?
Yeah, we're frightening.
Do you have ADHD? Is that why you said
yes?
Discovered. And how old were you when you found out?
About a year ago.
And are you glad that you went through the process?
Yes. I mean, my wife was saying it to me for years and years. Yeah. You know, you've got. I'm like, leave me alone. Because I've had addiction issues. I've had all sorts of things over the years. And
50% of people with ADHD have.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, it's a good way of medicating the issue.
It's brilliant. Alcohol is fantastic at medicating ADHD. It's terrible for your life.
You've struggled.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you sort of medicated your grief with alcohol, didn't you?
And all my life, and ADHD as well. Not to the point where people, I'd say at high functioning.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't necessarily addicted to it, but I was high functioning consumption of this. And it's brilliant. Alcohol's fantastic at medicating ADHD. It's terrible for your life.
Yes. Yeah.
It isn't. Well, no, I mean,
but I still go to AA now, sort of 30. I haven't drunk for nearly 33 years.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
It's been just over 3 for me, but that's amazing.
But I mean, when you realise how little you need that in your life, it's quite a sort of wake up moment, because we live in a culture where it's so part of it, and certainly part of being a man. Which is an interesting subject that I want to get onto. But we were, before the pizza arrived, talking about grief. And please help yourself. This pizza is for you. It took me a long time to process the grief around my father. And then also, just over a year ago, my mother died. And you kind of go, well, no, the weird thing was there was a certain freedom. Because I was no longer a child. I don't know whether that makes sense. You kind of let go
Still feel
of
like
your child.
a part of you always feel
no.
that way. You're like,
Well, I always say, because I started drinking and taking drugs when I was about 12, 13, right? So that's where my emotional development ceased. So,
and that's what they say, though. That is what they say.
and in certain parts of my life, I am still 30.
And that's good amount of overhang as well. I dropped the thing over. That was
there we go.
amazing.
How's that? Are we enjoying that? Oh, look at you! See, the face says everything here now.
I know a good pizza, and that's good. You want the overhang.
Yeah. You've got to have a little bit of droop.
You don't want the like that.
Yeah.
So often what happens, not a good pizza house. You just have like
Go straight.
cardboard.
Yeah, but that's 36-hour matured dough there.
That's phenomenal. And I'd say I feel like a bit of a pizza connoisseur. I've kind of done a lot of the New York rounds of pizzas there. Been to Antonio's Pizza.
Well, you mentioned Angelio's in your notes.
And Angelo's as well.
Yeah.
Just on Billionaires Row. It's amazing.
Yeah. Now, in your book, you talk about replacing fast food with good food. And this could come under the auspices of fast food.
Yeah.
But weirdly, my whole career prior to doing things like podcasts seemed to be centered around making food that is ubiquitous really good.
Yeah.
So, for us, the focus on the quality of the ingredients is really important because, like I say, the Fior di Latte comes in twice a week from Naples. The salami's from Central Italy. It's San Marzano. It's, yes, there are some miles on it, which some people think, but the idea is it's just the best. We try and do the best.
It tastes damn good.
Which you do as well. And I've noticed in your career trajectory, because obviously you came to our attention via Love Island, all right? Just as an aside, if you were asked back for the All-Star...
No. They're ironically too old, to be fair, but no. No, I think, that show happened by accident. Actually, ADHD was a classic thing that happened there. I never applied to the show. I was asked through a dating app. That's how they find lots of people. Do you want to come on the show? And I went to work and told my consultant and said, you won't believe it. They asked me this. Obviously, I'm not going to do it. And she pulled out her Love Island water bottle and said, you're going to the interview. It's my consultant. So I was like, I'm not doing it. And, all the way to the day that I went on the show, I was like, I'm not doing it. And then I just was like, oh, screw it. I'll just, life's short. It was a 2-week holiday. I'll be back in A&E. I was very naive. Everyone else had agents, had public profiles. I had 200 followers, not 200,000, not 2,000, 200 followers in a private profile.
I mean, you got a few more now.
A couple of million now. Yeah. But it was very, and since I left the show, I've been much more kind of like, well, I'm in this situation now. Let's do something with it.
Do you regret it in any way, shape, or form?
I think about it because I miss anonymity.
Yeah.
I don't know why anyone would want to be more famous than I am. Like, I can't imagine what it's like when you go up to the next rungs of things where you can't go places. Why on earth would someone want that? And in many ways, my friends joke and say I'm a really bad famous person because they say I don't use it enough. Like I don't.
It's good for getting a seat in a restaurant.
Yeah, well, yeah. Although I don't even use that enough either, clearly. But I don't actually like being known, but I like what I get to do with it. Like, I actually really enjoy social media's got good and bad sides. I really enjoy social media when you use, for example, I've had more help around ADHD on social media than I have from any professional. And I don't mean that rudely to anyone, but when you find a community online, say with alcohol-free living, with like YouTube and stuff, you find that community and you have people who have been sober longer than I have, or people new, or people at the same level. I find that amazing. And social media, that is the sweet spot for social media. When you find your quote unquote like tribe, whatever you want to call it, that is where social's powerful.
Well, it is that it's the eternal struggle in life, isn't it? To be in a sort of position of surrender whilst retaining some level of agency in your life at the same time. Because it's, where I've got to in terms of my understanding is two things. One, I know nothing. And two, I can only control how I react.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the two things that I know.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's conjecture, opinion, something that somebody else has written down, an idea I've stolen from somebody else or whatever. There's a third thing now, having read your book, I'm not normal. And
Well,
I'm
you
okay
have
with that.
ADHD, so you
No, but I don't. But the thing is, one of the joys of getting older is I don't.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. It's like, this is all about ownership and acceptance. It's not about going, there's a problem with that. And, you know, we are, at the end of the day, what's really interesting, if you took our brains and you put us in the kind of hunter-gatherer world, we took us and put us in A&E or in the chef's kitchen, we thrive in those environments. It's about right brain, wrong place. If you take me and put me in a 9-to-5 office, I'd be sacked within 2 weeks. Put me in A&E, I was great at A&E because it was just, I was like, literally, I'd float for hours just in the hyper focus of A&E, and like the pressure was beautiful. As pressure ranked up, I got calmer. My heart rate would be like, it's like when I ride it, if I take a super bike on a track, if I'm doing 150 down the runway, my heart rate's like, I'm calm.
Yes.
So I think a lot of the time it's realizing, and I hope people realize when they read the book or they hear and talk about ADHD or other forms of neurodivergence, is realizing you are not a problem. If there's friction, there's either something that we need to look at in terms of how you're managing the situation, or we need to look at the world. The school system, I'd argue, doesn't serve anyone.
No, I
think
totally
the school
agree with
system
you.
completely lets down almost everyone, but it deliberately works against people who are neurodivergent. And I think this is a problem that we've got, is that the school system is a Victorian system. It's all about academia. Unfortunately, even though academia is number one on the school system's focus, we do some of the worst in Europe on academics, ironically. And we also do really badly on mental health rates of children at school. Whereas if we think, right, what do we want from children? If you think about what's important for a child growing up, we want them to be healthy, well-rounded, work in teams, understand the skills they need for life, and be able to go out into the world with intrigue, optimism, and ability. Problem is, they don't teach you about financial health. You leave with, I didn't know what interest rate inflation was, or how, my first pay slip as a doctor, I saw the words national insurance. I was like, how dare you, I am the national insurance. What do you mean there's another like percentage of my money going? You know, we need to teach these skills that people often think when I talk about mental health, I'm just talking about the mental fitness side of it and building kind of these psychological skills. I'm also talking about skills like financial health, finances, team skills, how to deal with feedback, how to communicate well, how to regulate yourself. Because that matters.
No, but everything you're saying, I couldn't agree with more. But you're in a position where you potentially are enough of a voice to start being heard of this. I mean, you were up until, was it
year ago?
I
was mental health ambassador for 4 years, and this voluntary role basically. It's a very interesting space to be in. Obviously, Boris Johnson was there at the time. After my brother died, I was like, this is crazy. You only have to look at the stats and what's going on to realize the whole thing is crazy. And the thing is here, what's frustrating is the changes aren't complex. The things we need to do aren't rocket science. They're actually very simple, but you have to do them. So what I did is I worked with a lot of experts, came to Boris Johnson's door, banged a number 10 and said, look, can you just look at these things, please, and give it some thought? Obviously, initially, they just ignored our calls. Social media happened and basically made a load of noise. And they said, look, okay, fine, we'll talk to you. And so I came on board and we did some good things. Started the Early Support Hub initiative, funded mental health support teams, 100 million I secured towards that at schools, which was really important. But fundamentally, it's still fighting against this brick wall of like, we can't talk about mental health because then people get sick mentally. We can't change the system because we must teach about algebra. And by the way, I think maths important, but why can't you teach maths through finance?
I don't want to add up letters, Alex. I just don't. Call me a moron, but I don't see any efficacy in it unless I'm going to go into engineering or something like that, which I was never going to do. The whole problem I think we have at the moment with the term neurodivergent, whenever a new term comes to light, particularly in this country, there is an element of derision first, because people are scared by what they don't understand. So in this country, we poke fun at what we don't understand, or we get angry.
Dismiss it. Our favourite thing is dismiss.
Yeah, we love to dismiss. And I think also the next stages, which I think we're in now, is certain people weaponize it.
Absolutely.
And therefore discredit it.
It's a political trick. And it's one that I've seen in 4 years is a long time in politics, to be fair. And I had a really interesting position. I was never in the middle.
Lasted longer than a lot of people.
I saw a couple of mental health ministers and prime ministers in that time.
Yeah.
But, I had a very interesting space where I was not part of the Conservative Party. I was not on the payroll. I was a volunteer. So I could look in and I could see things from a very interesting angle. But what happens, and what we've seen time and time again, is that when there's a problem in this country, look at the junior doctor situation. Rather than going, there's a problem, let's fix it. It's how do we turn it on them to make them the problem? With the ADHD situation, and let's tackle a few things, because some people watching will say, does it really matter to label? It's fluffy, right? If you have a person, a woman, let's start with a woman, who's undiagnosed with ADHD, so she has it, but she doesn't know she has it, her life expectancy is automatically 8 years on average shorter than someone's neurotypical. That's 10%, right? It's a decent chunk. For a man, it's 6 years. That is significant. Risks of things of alcoholism, all these things are through the roof if you have ADHD that's untreated, right? That's really important. So does it matter? That's one, yes. Number two, is it overdiagnosed? Is it correct or underdiagnosed? You've seen lots of politicians saying it's overdiagnosed, people saying this, and they say they need to do this research into it for some reason. You don't.
No.
Lancet study back in March, or Lancet publication, 9 million GP records looked at in this country, which is a beautiful sample size, more than ample enough. 0.32% of 9 million people had a diagnosis of ADHD.
Exactly.
The true prevalence, which means how many people actually have it, is 4 to 5%. So that means there's at least 10 times underdiagnosis. And this is the thing that I want people to realize. Awareness equals assessments. The more people get sick, like you probably were like, oh my God, this is me, like I did, you're going to go and get assessed. How old are you, if you don't mind asking?
55.
Right, you're 55. There's 45. There's 35-year-olds. There's 25-year-olds going back. What should be happening, and where we were let down, is we should be diagnosed in our single-digit years.
Absolutely.
School. It changes your life, right? And until that point, we've got to play catch-up. So instead of blaming people with ADHD, who already suffered enough, by the way, many of them are in prison or struggling with things. Yes, some people are CEOs, some people have done amazingly in their lives. It's a very left or right.
Yeah.
Until you sort that out, then you can come.
I sort of went wobbly like
well,
that.
listen, I was on the edge of both. Many times I've been on the edge of both, and mistakes that I've made, on the edge of both. Until you fix that, give it a rest for the overdiagnosis stuff, because it's nonsense. It is not, it's actually incorrect.
I think we're just discussing, it is very much, to use a cliche, tip of the iceberg in terms of how deeply it affects, because particularly this book that you've done, it really made me think about all the people that I know and have encountered, that thing of like, what's normal? I was listening to someone the other day and they were talking about growing up in a dysfunctional family. Is there such a thing as a functional family? I don't think there is, because what is perfectly normal to you is bizarre to me. That's why documentaries work.
That's why people watch.
Or Love Island.
And that is why I'm interested in the word friction. Normality only matters in the context of friction. If you're abnormal but there's no friction, who cares? Great story, but who cares? If you've got something that's abnormal in your life and there's friction, we need to look at that, because friction is causing either you or someone else pain or multiple people pain. And I think if we change our lens to that, then all of a sudden you start questioning, like in your life, if you find that every relationship you have blows up and you can't understand why, you can't control your emotions, you have no regulation at all, well, that's probably something that's needs looking at, because there's significant friction.
What I find extraordinary is the man who is sitting opposite me now is so different to the one that I saw on TV. Was it 2018?
2018, yeah.
2018. I'm sort of thinking, was your year the last year anybody on it had an IQ over 80? I don't know.
Maybe harsh. I'm sure there's been plenty of smart people on there. I think probably the show has changed over the years. I think I went on there with naivety. I can't even. Well, you could argue maybe I wasn't that smart because I didn't realise what I was going into. And
you were young.
Yeah, I was still younger. I was in my 20s, and so on. I think some of this stuff is life is short. I had a friend called Freya Barlow at university, and she was amazing. And I know when people pass away, everyone says that they're amazing. She genuinely was. Like, she literally would go in the summers. I'd go on holiday with my mates and get drunk. She was going to Africa vaccinating children, and she was captain of the hockey team, and just was the only person in the year that everyone genuinely liked. In the second year of med school, she pulled us together, our close friendship group, and said, "I got leukemia." Right, and I was like, "When are you going to get treatment?" Starting tomorrow, straight into isolation. It's the most aggressive form, AML, of leukemia, hardcore chemotherapy in isolation, right? She went through multiple rounds for many months, carried on studying in a pod, by the way. Eventually had a bone marrow transplant. We thought she's cured. She went, in typical her fashion, ran like a half marathon a few months later to raise money for leukemia. By the end of the year, she'd gone back into relapse, right? She was told she had 2 weeks to live. In that time, we threw a big party to celebrate her life with her. And a few days before she passed, I sat with her and she said to me, Alex, I'm at the end of my life now. My life has to stop. It's a very strange thing where she wants to live on and continue. She's like, I have to stop. My life's just kind of starting. I have to stop. I want you to go out there and to live your life. Her advice is very simple. Live your life. I don't think she was talking about Love Island, but
No.
I do think part of me has carried through. And I think in my life, I have often, when I've come to these decisions, I'm like a little bit like, what would Freya say? And she'd say, fuck it, or go for it, or live. And I think life is very short and too many people live their lives as if you've got a second run. There's no second run. This is it.
Well, it's also the other thing as well, talking about whether you'd go back for All Stars. It's only a mistake if you make it twice.
Yes. I wouldn't go back. I mean, it was not a very successful show for my dating life. I'll be honest, but you know, it was an experience. I tell you what. Do you know what? Psychologically, I'll tell you this, right? And I've worked in A&E, I've worked in pressurized environments, right? You know, fairly pressurized, I would say. It was hard in there. So if you imagine being in there's a bedroom, a outdoor garden, and a toilet, basically. That's all I saw for 3 or 4 weeks. I didn't get out of that cabin so that was...
And quite a lot of fake breasts.
No music, no music, not allowed to write anything down, not allowed to read anything, didn't know what time of day it was at any point.
Oh, you're making my flesh
all day of the week. So like, it was very, very hard. I mean, I'm sure that's been adapted now, but I would say it was difficult. It was not like sit there with a cocktail thing.
But what I would like, with your knowledge, I would love to see you doing a sort of analysis of what was going on in there, firsthand, and also understanding the sort of mental health trajectory in the way that you do now. Because when you went in there, you're a very different person to the man you are now.
We all changed, don't we? It's been 8 years. I mean, I doubt you're the same person as you were 10 years ago.
I'm not the same person as I was last year.
Yeah. I think that you change and evolve, and I think some of what has to happen now is that, and I think this is really important actually, and we're kind of, I worry a little bit of the way society is at the moment, is that you have to allow and accept that people grow up. You know, we're often judging people for mistakes they made in the teens, 20s, and so on. You've got to understand is that people change. You know, my grandmother, bless her soul, when she was 75, who she was then, when she was 25, is not going to be the same person. You know, she has gone through many phases in her life. And I remember her talking about like those various stages of her life. And it's the same for me. I'm obviously 35 nearly. I'm very young, but I can already see that in my teens and my 20s and 30s, I've adapted and changed. And I think we have to allow people to do that, and you have to allow yourself to do that as well. It's okay to learn and make mistakes, choose bad. I wouldn't, if I could go back and drink alcohol, never drink alcohol, would I? Yes. But can I change that? No. And if you change something about your past, you have to accept you change yourself now. Because people often say to me, would you go back and not do Love Island, right? If I don't do Love Island, I'm not the person I am today, and I'm not willing to risk that.
Who's the guy in We Are the Millers? No regrets.
Yes, it's that it.
You mentioned your grandmother, and I'm just going to we're going to move the pizza out because I have something here. Don't worry, we can come to that later. Yeah. There we go. So
bring it back.
Here I have something, and I want to know whether it's as good as Granny's. I made you a little happy crumble.
My God. Do you know this is the death row meal thing?
And I've also got,
if there's only one,
I've also got some cold custard to go with it as well. Now,
this
was your guilt
every day.
Yeah,
just come back.
This is your guilty pleasure, isn't it? And I want to know because
just love it.
I think my crumble's pretty good, but
I suspect it's going to be. But yeah, I mean, you've got. Do you know what's good already? And I've eaten a lot of crumbles in my life. Good thickness on the top. There's good thickness, crunch thickness, goldenness. Because sometimes you have a crumble and it's too thin on top. It should be a crumble. Yeah. Look at that. Beautiful. Now let's add a bit of.
Just pour that in.
Just get that in there.
Dump that in. Oh look, he's not holding back.
No, let's get it.
Now this is the other question I had for you, Alex. Now eat that first because I'm going to allow you to enjoy that. How does that stack up against Nan's? I mean, obviously you can say
Nan, this is really good. That is amazing. You've absolutely nailed all the layers of that. But I love that you've got enough crumble. People don't put enough crumble.
No, you've got to have enough crumble. And also, you've got to allow the tartness to remain in the apples.
What does that mean?
So that sharpness, so you've got to use a Bramley. And you coat the Bramleys in.
Phenomenal.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. You coat the Bramleys in a little bit of golden caster sugar. That's it. They go in, you press those down, and then you press your crumble mix on the top.
Right.
But that sharpness then remains because you only put a couple of tablespoons of sugar on all the apples.
Right.
So if you've got 3 kilos of apples, it's a couple of, because you want that tartness to remain because you've got
you coat it and press it down.
Yeah, press it. Then you press that and then you scuff it.
See, I've never been pressed. I usually lay it on top. But you've got to actually press it down.
Give it a press, and then on top of that, what you do is a mix of Demerara sugar and rolled oats.
It's so bloody good.
There we go. You see, I knew I couldn't fail giving you that.
Still, food is one of the great delights of life. I mean, there's something that, what would we do if we didn't enjoy food? How miserable would life be?
But it is also one of the challenges that I think both you and I have shared. Because is there still a fat man dying to get out, Alex? Because there certainly is here.
I think it's
you've been big, you've been
21
ripped.
Slow. Yeah. I think
you're 23 and you're taller than me as well.
I'm 6'4".
Yeah, I'm only 6 foot, so I was a little rounder than you. And you're like me, you put it on everywhere. You get fat ears.
Do you know what's funny is that my dad said it's true. If I look with the same genetics, if we look at a dumbbell and lift weights, we'll get really strong.
Yeah.
If we look at a burger, then we'll go that
really
way. Just that's how we are. I think for me, I've recognised now the link of food and dopamine. So dopamine's our reward hormone, and ADHD. ADHD is better understood as a dopamine deficit disorder.
Yes.
In parts of the brain where you've got the levers of control.
We develop
idiotic
coping strategies.
Anything gives you dopamine. Alcohol, all these things, extreme risk, exercise, all these things, dopamine. There's no doubt that I'm dopamine driven by food. So I have that's another example of where understanding that has allowed me to put things in place. I do monitor what I eat a lot more now. I don't count calories or anything, but I really do look at the week, and I have an 80-20 rule. And if I say, for example, I have an evening where I have a takeaway because I enjoy a takeaway, I have an Indian, whatever it is, I know then for the next 2 nights, right now, home cooked meals, vegetables, think of what you're eating, because I can easily get carried away. Yeah, if I did 2 or 3 weeks of just not even caring, I would easily eat way too much dopamine.
I mean, I have various Achilles heel.
What is yours?
Ice cream in any form.
Oh, I do love ice cream. I love all. This is the other problems I love. The only thing I don't like is marzipan flavors, but everything else.
Interestingly enough, I've got.
I don't think you're going to convince me.
A whole range of things here. Well, no, here's interesting, because this is something we share. I can't stand marzipan.
If I eat that, I might be ill. We can try.
So licorice, we've got some licorice all sorts here. We've got a big lump of marzipan, and then of course the classic Battenberg, which is
my nan. I blame I thank her for this. I blame her for that. She used to try and feed me this stuff. I was like, you will like it. You can learn to like it. Yes, you can learn to like it.
But I mean, it's a classic nan cake, the Battenberg. Isn't it?
know.
I mean,
why though? Why do they? Why is
the licorice bit? I don't mind. All of that is my idea of hell.
Do you know when I used to drink? I couldn't have Sambuca for that reason. If I drink a single Sambuca, I would be ill.
Really?
Because it's a similar. It's aniseed with that.
The aniseed doesn't bother me, although I don't like an excess of tarragon.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is aniseed.
Yeah, which is aniseed.
I prefer Chervil because it's slightly gentler.
Yeah.
Are you a cook? Do you like cooking?
I do like to cook. I wish I'd more time to cook more, but I'm enjoying it more recently because basically. Kind of what you were kind of hinting at here is that I like all kinds of food, and what I wanted to do is not live on have boring healthy food. So for me, one of the things I recreated a bolognese, which looks nothing like a normal bolognese. I basically pack it with as many different veggies as I can. Yep. I have 50% lentils. I'll often use turkey mince in there. Yep. And so on. So I've tried to recreate some of those dishes that I used to have.
Simplicity mince now.
I can use some simplicity.
Loads of vegetables in it. I think that healthy food needs to be boring.
Yeah.
It just irritates.
I love the air fryer. I've discovered the air fryer.
The air fryer's fine. I mean, I'm a bit.
Yeah. I know. It's not proper cooking, but
look,
chuck it in.
I think if it gets you cooking your own food, if you're using it to kind of, put heat through ultra processed food, it's a waste of time.
But I love doing med veg and then stuff like that. So chicken on one of the trays, med veg on the next.
Yeah.
With the rice. like easy. A lot of the time, because I'm rushing, there's often easy food. I used to lean on the easy food, takeaway, packaged meals, you know.
But you've talked in the past about gut health,
Yeah,
as well, and the importance of gut health.
Yeah, hugely.
And
for this as well.
A fellow spooner has been Professor Tim Spector.
Yes.
And I like the simplicity of his 30 different plants a week.
Yeah, yeah.
And people go, oh, well, that's so hard. It's not.
No.
Especially if you start getting into spices and herbs and all that sort of thing. So the idea that it has to be boring, it doesn't. Put some spices on it. And there's some companies out there with fantastic spice mixes if you don't know how to combine the spices yourself.
Yeah.
And you can make it all really interesting.
I think one of the things they should teach at school, why do they not teach about food more at school? Like food tech is just like that. Do you remember at school, it was that thing that everyone saw as a class to mess about in. Yeah. You basically learned to make a crumble, which I did kind of enjoy, and that's it. I generally think it should be part. See, I believe a lot of the education system, like biology. Why is mental health not in history? Why is it not in biology? Why is cooking not involved in biology? Do you know what I mean? There's ways of bringing this stuff in. And you should. Why do we teach? Like, food is the most important thing you'll do each day is drink water, eat some food, sleep, and move your body. Right? Those are kind of like pretty core human principles.
Eat, sleep, move.
Why don't we teach any of that stuff? Any of it?
Well, because it's so much more important to understand what an oxbow lake is, isn't it? No,
this is the problem.
I've never used that. I've never forgotten it.
Yeah.
Because I'm even at 11 or whatever it is, I'm going. What
they should do instead is nothing wrong about learning. Right, someone loves maths, great. If you love geography, great. It should be interest-based learning. So if you're interested in going and learning everything about the history of World War II, brilliant. Have that as optional learning. Have the core lessons as every human needs to be able to cook a decent food, understand their financial bank accounts and whatever else.
But also understand how different people learn.
Yeah.
I mean, as a business owner, it's one of the things I've had to really look at, because when you're training a team of people to do something the way you'd like it done, different people learn in different ways. And that's where you really get to sort of understand the difference in learning types and that sort of thing. But even that simple thing of, like, if I use tech now to help me learn. So if I'm looking at your notes, I will cut, paste them, put them in Speechify. And I will listen and read at the same time. Because then I will know it.
In it,
Because I'm dyslexic as well. Now, I could, the whole thing about it is, yes, I now have an understanding. Do I view them as labels? No.
It's irrelevant. You're always that person. You just now understand why.
But I think, what you've done successfully is show that exposing what would traditionally be seen as weaknesses is actually, the ability to do that is actually a superpower.
I'm actually a really, 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 if I look at what I've been through in my life, there's no violence here. Everyone has worse. I've been through some significant life things. You can even include the show as one thing. Becoming famous is mental overnight.
Well, a lot of people,
my brother, a lot of this stuff that's happened has been really significant. Even stuff from my childhood people don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's significant that has happened. And I'm someone who is open about having OCD and mental illnesses. I'm open about my neurodivergence, and yet I'm really strong. I'm actually really resilient. I've been through a lot, and I continue to do it.
I call myself a cockroach. But it's true. I mean,
of all the resilient animals, what's wrong with a penguin? Like I like a penguin. They're resilient. It's nicer than a cockroach.
Well, yes, so. But the whole point with it is like, luckily for me, given my life trajectory, which, you could sort of say, oh, Alex, he's quite complex. Oh, Mark, he's quite complex. No, I'm not. Undiagnosed, my ability to complicate my life is second to none.
Exactly.
Right? Thank goodness, in all of that, I never, ever entertained suicide. It's just never been part of the kind of self-destructive part of me, which I have.
I've been to that edge a few times, and it's there's a few times I've looked over into the abyss, and I understand that people often say, can't understand why anyone would ever do it. Like, obviously my brother died by suicide. I can understand, as in I can understand because I've been to that edge and looked into the darkness. I get it. Is it the decision to take? No, it's a permanent solution to an impermanent problem. And that's the fundamental issue with it. And every life lost to suicide is a life that could have been saved. And then we've got to remember 600,000 people a year die by suicide.
Do you
600,000.
You've said in the past that you feel guilt towards your brother's passing. Do you still have that?
I think it's probably evolved a little bit, but I think it would be impossible as an older brother, 10 years older, as also a mental health advocate. Also, people are aware of my work probably more now, but I went to Downing Street in 2018, well before he passed away, because I was like, the education system's screwed, we need to change it. So I think it'd be very hard for someone in that setting to not feel like, damn, I missed this. But it's very difficult because the truth is people can smile on the phone. You know, some people, you see videos that I've seen, like they're very powerful on TikTok, of videos of people who are the night before they died laughing at the heart and soul of a party, and the next day they're gone. Yeah. So, you know, the thing about mental health, and this is why the stigma work is so important, is that it requires people to say, I'm in trouble. I need help. If you walk in and you're limping, I instantly know you've got a problem with your leg, right? And I would say, what's going on with your leg? You can hide everything in here. You could be going through hell with a smile on your face. And that is why it's important.
Well, that's why I count myself very lucky, having got sober as young as I did, because that put me in a community of like-minded people with AA and NA as well, because my history is drink and drugs. And I have people I can speak to. I have a vast amount of numbers in my phone. I go to meetings where I sit and I listen to people, and I do it 3-4 times a week. I listen to people be open and honest. And I think that's the key missing, particularly for men, is, and look, you know, we hear a lot about we don't take care of our men, but we don't. No. And we've kind of, they've been sidelined because of toxic masculinity. And controversially, do we have to address toxic masculinity? Yes, we do. But at the same time, toxic femininity as well. And I think there's a whole conversation to have where, regardless of your gender or how you identify, you will have to answer or be prepared to be asked questions you don't want to.
Well, I think there's difficult there is I think our issue of toxic masculinity is infinitely bigger than the opposite. I think we can only talk about other things when we fixed our problem. Yeah, I think men have to own this. And I think that, but on the point of toxic masculinity and, you know, for suicide and mental illness, actually, if you tackle the root cause, you work on both. So if you bring up young boys with the belief that sharing emotions is powerful, that you can be masculine and also have, you know, plenty of feminine, what we call feminine traits. Feminine and masculine traits can exist in men and women. You see it in men and women. You know, that to be a man can mean all of these kind of positive things, as well as being strong. I think by doing that, you tackle a lot of the toxic masculinity and you tackle a lot of the issues with people not asking for help. And the thing is that I always talk about the analogy of using like a compass, right? If you start at point 0 and your compass is out 5 degrees, you walk 100 miles, you're a long way off course, right? And the problem is at childhood, when you're kind of 3 or 4 years old, suddenly the words start, man up, be a big boy, boys play with these toys, boys do this, they don't do that, don't be a girl, don't be weak. And like, you know, these things start then and they get ingrained in society, movies you watch, the strength, all these things ingrained. And by the time you're 20 years old, right, and that person at 20 or 19, as Clear was, when he's struggling with his mental health, we're desperate for him to speak, but we've trained him his entire life to be silent. And that's what we do. So society craves men to speak, but trains them to be silent. And I think loads of the problems that we do with that also play into the toxic masculinity, which is a really big issue and is only getting worse. With social media is pouring flames, petrol onto the flames so much.
Well, there's some proper idiots out there.
Well, the problem is
have a massive following.
But I also think the thing is, the truth is people talk about the people, and we can talk talk about people, right? Who are the people saying these things. I'm more concerned about why they have an audience. Yes. Why have they've always been around. There's always been idiots, but it feels at the moment that there seems to be a bigger and bigger audience for these people. So you've got to tackle the reason people are at the chair rather than them. Obviously, you've got to tackle them. I think take away the fame.
I think it's because we have bred a couple of generations now of young men who are terrified because they don't know how to be. Because the pendulum's quite rightly, and for very good reasons, swung the other way. Particularly around the Me Too movement and what happened there. But, you know, it needed to change. There is a need for change. I think we see it in so many different aspects. It's like, but the speed of change is so accelerated by social media and the internet.
What we've got to be careful of is that we don't end up in a situation that to be a man is inherently bad. And I think that's what we've got to be careful of. But that can't be a counter argument to realizing that there's a problem. So I think we basically have to do both. And I think sometimes we struggle with duality as human beings. We're either right or wrong, or this is good or bad. It's like we have to look at this with a more nuanced perspective, focus on children, basically, work on the school education system, and you'll see most of your changes. That's my view.
What do you think about these potential new laws being passed around the bans?
Do you know what? I think we need to see the data more of it. It's so difficult. I mean, to say, because I could name 5 good things and 5 bad things about doing it, I don't know yet what the right answer is. But what I do feel strongly on is that social media has no place in schools. I don't think that schools, I think that, to have a phone for safety reasons to get to school or home, fine. But a phone should not be out of the bag. It should all be switched off all day long, because it's also for the kids, because it's not about punishing or depriving them. It's about enriching their lives, being together, educating, all those skills you learn being a child and learning and playing, all those things needs to happen. The question about banning under 16, I don't know. Some days I'm for it. Other days I'm like, oh God, that's difficult, because then what if that's that community? One thing's for sure is that we have to treat social media with the respect it deserves. It is a powerful tool for good and bad.
It is interesting you use the word community there, because I think that's such an important part of it all. And a lot of our community spaces have disappeared
completely,
and that is part of the problem. You are going to isolate on your smartphone because you've got nowhere to go.
There is no outdoor space for young kids. There's no youth clubs. Even I remember growing up in the local village, we had a village hall and activities every week. We go down there, there's tennis courts we play. This is in the back end of Wales. Now all these areas are usually developed on. If you're in a city, there's probably built a by-rise there. They don't have youth clubs, and so where are children supposed to exist outside their homes?
But I think it's because we've become a very fearful society, and I think something which you reported on heavily during its time, during lockdown, we had fear driven further and further into us as a society, and we haven't let that go since.
The pandemic, I had a conversation on the Stompcast, on my podcast, with an epidemiologist and someone who looks at kind of ramifications of large-scale crisis. Who looks at 9/11, looks at like all these different big world events of what the ramifications are. And basically they're saying it's going to be 20, 30 years before we see the full effects of COVID. And I think, to be honest, most of us know it to be true. We just don't want to talk about it. Yeah. No one wants to utter the words COVID at all, because no one wants to acknowledge that it really has affected our lives. Some people lost people. Some people were very sick. My brother, I think, was a victim of COVID. I think he'd probably still be here if it wasn't for the pandemic. But I think also the effect it's had on our fear, on our freedom, our movement, the way that we socialise. People don't hang out together anymore. People go home. It's normalised just to be on their own at home every night.
I know.
It's bizarre.
And how good is it to sit with someone you've never met before and have a conversation?
But it doesn't exist anymore.
It's with whatever it is I have, the version I have, it's when I feel the most alive is when I am talking and interacting with another human being. It's everything for me.
Community is so important. Like humans, you look at like what's bad for your health. We talk about alcohol. Loneliness is a huge issue. Like loneliness, so that's the absence of either the required quality or quantity of connection, either or both, for an individual and their needs. That is as bad for your health as smoking cigarettes. Smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
It shortens your life.
It shortens your life, and it makes not just your life expectancy shorter, but the quality of your life is reduced. So the antidote to that is connection. And I think that's where, when you talk about the social media should never replace connection. It should be an addition to.
Yes.
But with children particularly, it's a replacement of. So lots of children on that, not
learn that. The reason I feel quite strongly about the under 16 thing.
Would you ban it? Yeah. Would you ban it? You'd probably ban it.
Or I would certainly.
I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just
I think I would certainly reduce access to it. Like you say, there should be a blanket thing in all schools.
Yeah.
And in certain schools it has happened already.
And good on them. The schools that have taken it on.
No, that goes in a box and you get it back at the end of the day. Because you do not develop the skills.
There's no, like, even if you ask a child, you ask a 14-year-old and say to them, like, if we're honest now, forget the other things, do you think there's a real benefit of having a phone in the school? Honestly speaking, they would be like, no. Obviously, everyone knows, it's common sense. Teachers know it, we all know it, but just I think we've been afraid to do it. It feels like, because we were scared about liberty in this country, I think that it feels like it was a step against children's liberty, but sometimes you have to acknowledge. It's like smoking, they could make a choice about smoking, right? Would you let a child smoke cigarettes at 13 years old? You wouldn't, because that's liberty. This is bad for you.
The most valuable thing somebody said to me as a parent, right? Because my Harry's now 19. Somebody said to me, what's the kindest thing you can say to a child? And they think, well, I love you. And I said, no, it's no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
otherwise there's no boundaries.
Absolutely.
However, we have got to that point of proceedings where I am going to hand you this fetching leopard print blindfold.
Yeah.
And you're going to pop that on and we're going to do our first spoon.
Okay.
Now, this obviously is an exercise of trust, Alex.
I trust you.
Well, you know, that's
as a fellow ADHD, I trust you.
There we. So I'm going to slide that one in there. The little spoon here, and I am going to feed you.
Okay.
And this is your first delightful mouthful.
Okay.
Open wide. You see, look, you're very brave. There we go. What have we got? What flavors? What textures? What have we got there?
I think it's chicken.
Yep. You see, he's got
a bit of gravy on there. There's a bit of kick to it, though.
Yeah.
There's like, is it mustard?
No, it's a bit more than that.
Is it spicy? It's spicy.
Yeah, it's very
chili. It's chili.
Yeah, it's chilies. There's all sorts of things. What could it possibly be?
I feel like I think it's like a roast dinner, but you made it spicy.
No, it's take the blindfold off. This is my chicken curry. It's my spicy chicken curry.
Chicken curry. I thought it was like the palate was good, but I was like, because I thought he's going to play on something and do a thing. That's really nice.
I just kept it simple. Nice. You said you like a spicy curry. I made you a spicy curry.
I love spicy curry.
That's a good one, isn't it?
I can go pretty spicy as well.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know how spicy. That's my kind
flavors
of for that would, I suppose that would be a sort of madras, maybe halfway between a madras and a vindaloo.
Over the years, my spice, my flavor profile, what I like in spice has changed. I like flavor in it, but I think, since I stopped drinking alcohol, sometimes I think my spice is a bit of the kick. I get like a bit of dopamine. I think it is.
No,
I love
absolutely.
it. I love spicy food.
There's a restaurant called Kiln just on the edge of Soho, and they do a yellow curry in there. And honestly, when your lips start to feel like they're actually inflated as a result of the spice, you definitely get a dopamine hit.
Yeah, you do.
And you see it on that other podcast, the one where they make people eat the wings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the wings.
And you see people get sort of slightly giddy as they get more and more spice.
It gives you a hit, doesn't it? And interestingly, I think you look at ADHDers, we often do love spice. We love anything that's going to give you that kick for sure.
Now, you're a man who seems to spend now the majority of your life, or what appears to be, it may not be, in a constant sort of drive for self-discovery. What is next for you? I mean, obviously you've got the book out now, and it is a fabulous book.
Thank you.
But what is next? Because if you are as neurodiverse as you claim, you're already thinking of the next thing, aren't you? You've already got it planned and plotted.
I'm working at the moment, I think broadly, in the last few years, 4 or 5 years, I've been working on pretty heavy stuff. And I think what my focus is now is that I want to actually work on some of the fun sides of mental fitness and the campaigns, but also build projects and do things that are just a bit lighter. Like, I've started a alcohol-free drinks company called Dead Clear. I'm building that. And as you know, building a business, it's exciting, but hard work.
Oh, yes.
So I'm kind of pouring my energy into other areas at the moment. I will always be doing work around mental fitness. It's the work I do on the Stompcast, the content I do. But I think probably I'd really like, as I'm feeling in a better place, and I have been in some dark spots the last few years, I'm feeling in a better place. I really want to make sure that I'm actually enjoying life. And I think that's something I'm consciously aware of, because it's hard work talking about hard stuff all the time.
Yeah. And I think it's important not to miss the joy.
Yeah.
I think when you go through a period of your life where it's difficult and you don't like those scary feelings of sadness or grief or whatever, so you're pushing them down.
Yeah.
As you depress and become depressed, you also depress all the other ones.
Yeah, exactly.
So you forget how to smile. You forget how to laugh.
I feel like for the first time in a good few years, I'm ready for joy. So I think a lot of the time you don't heal and go through the healing process to fix the trauma. You heal to have space for joy. It's exactly what you've just spoken about.
I think I like that though. I'm ready for joy. Are you ready for your second spoon?
I am. Go on,
Excellent.
I hope I do a better job of guessing what it is.
Okay,
Bruce,
here we go.
Carry on.
No, well, look, right,
You've had worse, I'm
blindfold on. Here comes the second spoon.
Let's try and get this right. So what I did, I tried to guess before you brought it out, so now I need to be open-minded. What does it taste like?
Okay, here we go. Right. Are we ready?
Okay.
Okay. Open wide. Here we go. Delicious. This is a bit wider. There we go. What have we got there? What flavours? What textures? Is it enjoyable?
Is it a gnocchi?
It is gnocchi.
Thank God that I got that, at least that right. Oh, it's so nice. Can I have a bit more?
Yep, there we go. All right. Happily give you a bit more.
Yeah.
There we go. Open wide.
Mm.
What's the main flavour you're getting?
It's creamy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is creamy. Well, it's not actually, but it is, if you see what I mean. It
Kind of
texture would be, but there is
What is it?
actually no cream in it.
What is it then? Can I look?
Take the blindfold off. So
Oh, wow.
that is, because you said I don't like green veg.
I mean, I eat green veg lots because it's good, but I'm never like excited by green veg, really. That's not what I was expecting.
So that is
What?
spinach with roasted garlic,
It's
little
spinach is the green.
pinch of chili flakes, and then 0% fat yogurt. And then as you bring it back up to heat, you add the cooking water from the gnocchi, and it creates this kind of silky sauce.
It's utterly phenomenal.
Little bit
That
of
is-
olive
that-
oil.
Seriously, that is.
See, look, I've got
I
you
need to-
eating green.
I need to learn how to make this.
Oh, it's so easy. It's so easy. That's what I think. So I think
That
the
is
next
phenomenal.
thing is learn to cook, because I find I am, because I don't have to do it for a living every day now.
Yeah.
I find I'm never more at peace than when I
Enjoyed it. Yeah, it's great dopamine.
having, I did it as a
Yeah, as a
profession
career,
for many
yeah,
years.
Yeah, now you do it for
And,
joy.
and now it's like, if I am in the kitchen and I've just got, I've got a chopping board in front of me, that's,
Where can I find the recipe for that? Will you show it me?
I will tell you. It's
I
very,
won't share it with anyone, don't worry.
no, you're more than
That's
welcome to.
absolutely.
It's so,
That is genuinely, honestly, that's
it's
phenomenal.
so simple to make, and you make it in about 10 minutes, if that.
That is brilliant.
In fact,
Really impressed.
shall we post the recipe for that on our social media?
I think
What do you
people
think,
want to
Johnny?
see that.
Excellent. All right,
People
we're going
wanna
to
see
do
that,
that
'cause
because it is so simple.
That, honestly, that is absolutely phenomenal.
Because you see, and
Phenomenal.
the nice
It's
thing for
baked
you
there.
is that was your don't love spoon.
That's mad. But I'm glad I did. I got it. You didn't, by the way, you didn't push me to your licorice. I'm really glad about that.
Well,
I thought you could maybe eat
we'll
that,
do that afterwards. But
yeah.
unfortunately, that is all our time together at
Thank
the moment.
you.
But I
Thank you for
thank
having me.
you for coming on and being so open and honest as
Likewise, that's for sure.
Because I think
Yourself.
it's really important for
Mm.
men
Mm.
to be open and honest. It's
For sure.
It just makes sure. Initially, it's terrifying,
Mm.
and then it makes your life a lot easier.
The thing if I was going to say something to someone that I've learned over the years, especially from this book, actually, if I was going to say something in a summary, what I'd share is that the greatest gift you can give yourself is the gift of acceptance. But to accept yourself, you must understand yourself, and that is right.
Well, the other thing as well is you can't experience real peace without having experienced real disturbance. If you're trying to nullify yourself against all of it, it's just going to be a kind of weird,
If there's
unpleasant hum of a
one
life.
positive of suffering, it's that it gives you a depth of empathy that you wouldn't have without.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Exactly. Well, also,
Thank you.
this book gives you a little bit of a sort of guiding light as to how you might get there personally. So I do recommend Am I Normal by Dr. Alex George.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming
Sir.
on.
I've enjoyed it.
Pleasure
Thank
to
you for
meet
your
you.
kindness, making this wonderful food.
Well, I'll give you the recipe later.
Thank you.
That is all for this week on Spooning with Mark Wogan. Huge thanks to Alex, and his book is out now, Am I Normal? Go buy it. I promise you it will certainly make you feel like you belong a bit more. Join me next week when I will have another very special guest here on Spooning with Mark Wogan, and I will be challenging the food that they think they love and the food that they think they hate. If you like what we're doing here, you can find us by searching Spooning with Mark Wogan across Instagram and TikTok, and you can watch this in glorious Technicolor on the Virgin YouTube channel, and it is available wherever you get your podcasts from. I am also on Virgin Radio Chilled, Saturdays and Sundays 10 till 2 p.m, playing some very relaxing music and talking a load of drivel between records. But until next week, stay beautiful.